I remember the way the music rattled the windows as we pulled up to the house. Neon lights bled through the curtains, pulsing with every heavy bass drop. Josh grinned like an idiot in the passenger seat, practically vibrating with excitement. "Come on, man. Tonight's gonna be insane," he laughed, slapping my shoulder. "You might actually have fun for once." I forced a smile. I wasn't here for the party. I was here for Sarah. She'd texted earlier, casually dropping that she'd be at this party. That was enough to convince me. I've liked her for a while now. Sweet, down to earth, the kind of girl that makes you forget how disappointing the world can be. This was my shot. We walked in together, shouldering through crowds of strangers, the air thick with sweat and booze. Josh immediately veered toward the kitchen, grabbing a red Solo cup like it was a reflex. I kept my hands in my pockets, scanning the room, and then I saw her. Sarah stood near the back patio, chatting with a few girls, laughing softly. Her smile was radiant. My stomach twisted into knots, but I told myself to grow a spine. I started walking toward her, rehearsing something clever to say. Then, of course, nature calls. I excused myself, ducking upstairs to the bathroom, telling myself it'd be better anyway. Less desperate, less obvious. I wasn't gone for more than 5 minutes. When I came back downstairs, I froze. There he was, Josh, standing right next to her, laughing, gesturing wildly like he always does when he's tipsy. I walked a little closer, enough to hear, but not enough for them to notice me. "She's great and all," Josh was saying, "but, John's kinda weird. Like, clingy, Talks about you all the time. Kinda pathetic, honestly." I felt something snap. My ears rang. My hands curled into fists so tight my nails dug into my palms. Sarah laughed. Not in a cruel way, more nervous, confused. "Oh, I didn't know that." Josh shrugged, gulping his drink. "Yeah, just watch out. He gets attached." I wanted to storm over, punch him in his smug face, scream that he was lying, that he was the pathetic one. But I didn't. Not there. Not with her watching. I turned, walked away. My heart thudded so violently it hurt. For the rest of the night, I pretended. I smiled when he cracked jokes. I nodded when he teased me about not drinking. But every time I looked at him, all I saw was a snake. My best friend, my brother, betraying me without a second thought. When the party wound down, Josh was stumbling, barely able to stand. "Brew," he slurred. "You're still sober, yeah? You gotta drive." I'm gone." "Perfect." "Yeah, no problem," I said quietly. We got in my car. He flopped into the passenger seat, laughing at nothing, babbling nonsense as I pulled onto the highway. The roads were mostly empty. Everyone else was either still partying or had already made it home. I gripped the steering wheel so tight my fingers hurt. The words he said played on a loop in my head. Clingy, pathetic. Watch out for him. I glanced at him, head leaned back, eyes half-lidded, oblivious, completely at my mercy. Something dark bubbled up inside me, something sharp and bitter and cold. He ruined something precious to me. He betrayed me, humiliated me. Why should he get to laugh it off? Why should he get to walk away? I pressed the gas pedal a little harder. Up ahead, the road curved sharply around a wooded embankment. Guardrails lined the bend, old, bent, barely held together. Josh mumbled something, then went quiet. I stared at the guardrail. My hands trembled. My pulse pounded in my ears. I could do it. Right now. Just turn the wheel. Just let go. A split second before the curve, I unbuckled my seatbelt, threw the door open, and rolled out. The asphalt tore at my skin like sandpaper. My head slammed against the ground. Stars exploded behind my eyes. And then the sound, metal shrieking, glass exploding, the crunch of steel folding in on itself. Then silence. For a moment, I lay there, gasping. Pain shot through every inch of me, but I was alive. My heart raced, not from fear, from adrenaline, from satisfaction. I scrambled to my feet, stumbling toward where the car had smashed through the guardrail. It was 20 feet down, nose first into a ditch, the hood crumpled like tinfoil. Smoke hissed from the engine. The windshield was spiderwebbed with cracks. Josh was slumped over the dashboard, motionless. For one horrible second, I thought he might be dead. But then, I heard coughing, gurgling, weak movement. Alive. Hurt, but alive. I staggered back to the roadside, pulled out my phone and called for help. Told them I swerved to avoid a deer. Told them my buddy was trapped. I tried to sound panicked. It wasn't hard. When the ambulance arrived, I watched from the shoulder as they cut Josh out of the car, strapped him to a stretcher. His legs were bent at odd angles. His face was pale, eyes glassy. In the hospital, I sat by his bedside, listened to the doctors explain the damage, spinal injury, complete paraplegia from the waist down. Josh cried when they told him, sobbed like a child, kept asking what happened, how it happened, his face twisted with confusion. I don't remember, he stammered. I was drinking. What happened? I squeezed his hand, forced my face into something like grief. Reckless drivers, I whispered. Some assholes must have been flying back from the party, swerved right into our lane. I had to jerk the wheel. I'm sorry, man. I tried. I really tried. And he believed me. God, he believed me. Since then, Josh has become a shell of who he used to be. The guy who once swaggered into every room now barely leaves his dorm. Pills line his bedside table. Vodka bottles stack up under his desk. Last semester, he overdosed. I was the one who found him, collapsed and convulsing on the floor. Another 911 call, another night in the hospital, another near miss. The doctors say it's depression, trauma, his life's been torn in half. His future, his freedom, all gone. Sometimes people ask me if I feel guilty. Guilty? No, not even a little. Every time I see him, slumped in his wheelchair, stubble grown wild, arms thin from muscle wasting, I remember the sound of his voice that night. Laughing, mocking me. He thought he could betray me and walk away untouched. He was wrong. I'll never tell him the truth. I'll never confess what I did. Let him waste away wondering why the universe turned on him. Let him rot in that question. And me? I sleep like a baby. Because for the first time in my life, I got exactly what I wanted. It started like any other Tuesday. I dragged myself through the front door after a long, mind-numbing shift at the warehouse. My one-bedroom apartment sat on the third floor of an older building. Nothing fancy, but it was quiet enough most of the time. I tossed my keys onto the counter, kicked off my boots, and flopped onto the couch, already scrolling through my phone. My security camera notifications caught my eye. I'd installed a camera pointing toward my front door a few months back after a package was stolen. It wasn't anything fancy, just a motion-sensing feed that pinged me whenever someone passed by. Most days it was just the mailman or a neighbor walking their dog. But tonight, something was off. The thumbnail image showed nothing. Just my door dimly lit by the hallway light. But the alert said motion detected 7:13 p.m. Curious, I tapped the notification to pull up the live feed. Still nothing. The hallway was empty. I figured maybe it was a bug or some glitch. I locked my phone and headed to the kitchen to microwave leftover pizza. As the microwave hummed, I heard it, the unmistakable sound of the doorbell. It rang twice. Sharp. Quick. I paused, slices in hand, and glanced toward the door. I wasn't expecting anyone. I stepped over, flicked on the peephole light, and peered out. Empty hallway. I opened the app again and rewound the camera feed by a minute. Nothing. No movement. No person. Just an empty hallway. I chalked it up to some kid being a punk. Maybe a prank. I double-checked the lock, securing the deadbolt, and went back to my pizza. I settled in, turned on the TV, tried to shake it off. A half hour passed. I was mid-bite when the living room light flickered. Not just a little surge, off, on, off again. Then total darkness. Come on, I muttered, pushing off the couch. As soon as I stood, the kitchen light blazed on by itself. A second later, the bathroom light. Then the bedroom light. One by one, they all popped on like someone was walking through the apartment, flipping each switch. I spun around, expecting to see someone standing there, but it was empty. My heart slammed against my ribs. I told myself the wiring was probably old. Cheap apartments always had issues, right? I made my way to the breaker panel in the hallway closet, opened it, and stared. Everything looked fine. No tripped breakers, no popped switches. Then the living room light turned off. The kitchen followed. One by one, the apartment dimmed until only the hallway light above me was left. A soft, buzzing glow that felt more like a spotlight than comfort. The hairs on my arms stood up. I backed toward the couch, phone already in hand. I pulled up the security feed again. This time there was something. Movement. A flicker of a shadow right at the edge of the frame. I scrubbed back and forth, pausing at the right moment. There, it darted across the screen, low to the ground. Not a person. Not unless they were crawling on hands and knees. But it was fast. Too fast. The doorbell rang again. 3 sharp chimes. I jumped, nearly dropped my phone. My stomach twisted. I didn't move. I just stared at the door, waiting. listening. Nothing. Another ping from the camera. Motion detected. I opened the live feed. The hallway was empty, but the door handle twitched. A subtle, rattling jiggle like someone was testing the lock. My breath hitched. I squeezed the phone so tight it hurt. I reached for the kitchen knife block, grabbing the biggest one I had. The handle jiggled again, a little harder this time. I dialed 911. The dispatcher answered, calm, robotic. I explained everything in a rushed whisper. The doorbell, the lights, the movement on the camera, someone trying the handle. She asked for my address, told me officers were on the way. As I spoke, the lights surged back on, every bulb flaring bright at once. Too bright. The bulbs buzzed, almost humming with electricity. The TV turned on by itself, blasting static so loud it felt like needles in my ears. I dropped the phone, clapped my hands over my ears. Then it all cut. Dead silence. Every light out. TV off. A moment later, the apartment filled with an eerie red glow. My emergency backup light in the hallway. It only ever kicked on during power outages. It cast long shadows against the walls, making everything look stretched, twisted. That's when I heard it. A scraping sound. From inside. Slow, deliberate. It came from the bedroom. Nope, no. Hell no. I crept toward the front door, keeping the knife in front of me. My hands were shaking so bad I could hear the blade clicking against my wedding ring finger, even though I wasn't wearing one. As I reached for the lock, my phone buzzed on the floor. I glanced down. A new notification from the security app. Motion detected front door camera. I opened it. The camera showed me, but not the me from now. It was me standing outside my own door, wearing the same clothes, same shoes, staring directly into the camera. Unmoving, not blinking. My blood turned to ice. The timestamp was from 20 seconds ago. The doorbell rang again. No. I threw the bolt, yanked the chain, and flung the door open. Empty hallway. Nothing. Nobody. Just the flickering overhead hallway light buzzing like it always did. Far down the hall, though, just for a second, I thought I saw something duck around the corner. A shadow, maybe. Or maybe my eyes playing tricks on me. Police sirens echoed in the distance. A wave of relief crashed over me, but it didn't last long. The lights in my apartment flicked back on as if nothing had happened. The TV switched from static to the home screen. The emergency light in the hallway clicked off. 2 officers showed up a minute later. I explained everything. They checked the hallway, the stairs, even the roof access. Nothing. No sign of anyone. They looked at the camera footage, but somehow the clip of the shadow of me was gone. Deleted. Corrupted. Only the footage of me opening the door remained. They were nice enough, but I could tell they thought I was either drunk, high, or imagining things. They said they'd patrol the area for a bit, told me to call if anything else happened. When they left, I double-checked every lock, closed the blinds, slept with the knife under my pillow. Over the next few weeks, more strange things happened. Lights turning on and off at random. The TV flipping to static in the middle of the night. The camera sending alerts for movement that always ended up being nothing. Except sometimes when I watched the live feed, I could swear there was something just out of frame. A shadow. A shape. Something waiting. Neighbors started whispering. Apparently the guy who lived here before me broke his lease early. Said the place was wrong. Wouldn't give details. I didn't renew my lease when it was up, packed everything I owned into my car, and left the very day it ended. Never looked back. Never even cleaned the place out. Whatever that was, it could have the damn apartment. I twisted the key in my apartment door and stepped inside, kicking off my shoes as the familiar scent of lavender air freshener filled my nose. Another exhausting shift at the office. Deadlines. Meetings, traffic. I was beyond ready for a quiet night of junk food and bad reality TV. I tossed my bag onto the couch and glanced at my phone. A notification popped up from my security app. Motion detected. My stomach tightened. I wasn't expecting anyone. I opened the live feed from the camera pointed at my front door. The screen flickered before revealing nothing, just the empty hallway outside my apartment. But the motion alert didn't lie. I rewound the footage. At 6:32 p.m., just 20 minutes earlier, the camera showed something strange. A shadow moved across the frame. Not the shape of a person. Taller. Slender. Almost stretched. The shadow slithered from left to right, then vanished. No person. No source. I felt the chill prickle my skin. Probably just a trick of the light, I told myself, or a glitch. Maybe the maintenance guy walked by with something weird. Trying to shake it off, I wandered into the kitchen and grabbed a bottled iced tea from the fridge. I cracked it open and took a sip, but paused. The taste was off. Bitter. Maybe it was expired. I checked the label. No, still good. Shrugging, I figured the brand probably changed their formula. I sat down, scrolling through my phone, looking for distraction. That's when I noticed something else. Facebook Messenger, a new message request. It was from an account I didn't recognize. The profile picture was blank, and the name was just random letters, XBQJ237. Curious but uneasy, I opened it. The message simply said, "Stop ignoring me." My brow furrowed. I scrolled up, but there were no previous messages. I typed back, "Who is this?" The reply came instantly. "Look behind you." My breath caught. My eyes darted to the dark TV screen in front of me, catching my own reflection, nothing else. I spun around. Just my empty kitchen, hallway, bathroom door cracked open. I stood up quickly and locked the front door, double-checking it. My heart thudded as I walked from room to room, flipping on every light. Nothing. Nobody. My phone buzzed again. "I see you." I blocked the account. My hands were shaking. Was this someone messing with me? A scammer? A stalker? Then the lights went out. The entire apartment plunged into darkness. A loud click came from the hallway breaker, like someone had pulled it manually. My heart raced as I fumbled for my phone flashlight. I shined it toward the hallway. Nothing. I whispered to myself, "It's just a power outage. Just a power outage." But deep down, I knew something wasn't right. I backed into the living room, phone shaking in my grip. I pulled up the security camera app again. My front door camera was offline. Static. I switched to the camera in my bedroom window facing the parking lot. It was still working. That's when I saw it. A man standing right next to my car. Not moving, not looking at the building, just standing. He was tall, wearing a dark hoodie, hands shoved in his pockets. His head was tilted slightly like he was listening to something. I swallowed hard, maybe just some random guy. Maybe. But then, without warning, his head snapped up. Right toward the camera, direct eye contact. My stomach dropped. He knew. My vision swam. I felt suddenly dizzy, like the floor was tilting beneath me. My knees buckled. I grabbed the arm of the couch to steady myself, but it didn't help. The room started spinning. "What the hell?" I muttered. My tongue felt heavy. Numb. My heartbeat thundered in my ears. My last thought before everything went black was the bitter taste of that iced tea. I don't know how long I was out. I came to on the floor, head pounding, mouth dry. My body felt heavy, uncooperative. My vision was blurry, but I could just barely make out the flashing blue and red lights strobing through the windows. Somehow, I'd managed to call 911 before passing out. My phone lay on the carpet next to me, still connected. A dispatcher's voice crackled faintly from the speaker. "Hello, ma'am? Are you there?" I tried to speak, but couldn't. Everything hurt. My leg burned. Sharp, throbbing pain. Something was wrong with it. Broken, maybe. I heard banging at the door, then voices. Police. They forced the door open. Flashlights swept the room. One officer knelt beside me, checking my pulse. Another moved through the apartment, gun drawn. "Clear," someone shouted from the bedroom. "Clear," echoed from the kitchen. They lifted me onto a stretcher. The paramedic's face hovered over mine. "Stay with me. You're okay now. You're safe." I slipped in and out of consciousness during the ambulance ride. Voices swirled around me. Someone mentioned tampered drink. Someone else said forced entry marks. I thought I heard one of the officers say, "We found footprints by the breaker box." When I woke again, I was in a hospital bed. The bright white ceiling came into focus. An IV was taped to my arm. My left leg was in a cast, propped up by pillows. The doctor explained that I'd broken it falling when I passed out. Lucky, they said, because if I hadn't gone down when I did, well, no one wanted to finish that sentence. The police told me someone had disabled the power to my unit and tampered with the drink in my fridge. They believed it was a sedative. Whoever it was likely planned to come in after I passed out. But when the 911 dispatcher heard me collapse and the strange sounds over the call, they sent officers immediately. As for the Facebook messages, the account was deleted before they could trace it. The man in the parking lot was gone by the time police arrived, leaving only a single muddy footprint by the side of my car. No fingerprints, no real leads. I don't know who he was, or what would have happened if the police hadn't come when they did. I try not to think about it. Lying there in that hospital bed, staring out the window at the morning sun, I felt a sharp ache in my leg, but also something else. Gratitude. Gratitude to be alive, because whatever that thing was, whoever it was, they hadn't finished what they started.